Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss about piping flexibility analysis. The piping flexibility analysis is a combined term which takes into account the design of supports, the layout of the piping, and it finally gives you what is the amount of stresses and deflection and the various reaction points. At various reaction points, what are the reactions and moments? So it is useful for performing any further optimization. And in this particular session, first we are going to see as per the design code, as per the piping design code, what are the norms or what are the requirements in terms of allowable stresses. Then we will see into the different load cases that need to be considered when you are doing flexibility analysis. And after that, we will do one calculation which will show us whether the piping flexibility analysis need to be done or no. And finally, we'll look at the overall uh, criteria that the piping design code applies for accepting or rejecting a particular layout. So let's begin with understanding need of doing the piping flexibility analysis. The requirements or the need for doing the piping flexibility analysis are almost similar to that of piping supports, which we have covered in the last session. First of all, it establishes stresses and deflections in a piping system. So that is the first point. So the quantitative values of stresses at various parts of the piping and the deflection at various points are obtained, and then we can check whether they are within acceptable range or no. Secondly, it gives all the support and wherever the piping is attached to vessels. So those points, what are the loads in terms of forces and moments acting there at the support locations that you have decided based on the guidelines which we discussed last time. We will know what are the reactions at that point. So one can adjust the support locations in order to get the optimum points in terms of stress, deflection, as well as the support reactions. That is the second part. And thirdly, the dynamic response calculations. That is, in certain situations where there is a flow induced vibration or any vibrating equipment is operating near to the piping system. In these cases, we need to do the dynamic analysis. So the flexibility analysis also covers the dynamic analysis of piping system, although we are not going to cover that in this course, but that is also one of the important part for certain types of piping layouts. Next, we will see what are the different load cases which are considered in piping flexibility analysis. There are three load cases which are considered in the design. The first load case is the sustained load case. Sustained, as the name suggests, is one which is permanently acting throughout the life of the piping system. So that includes the internal pressure that is going to act in the pipeline, the various dead weights, that is the weight of the pipe itself, the weight of the fluid which is flowing inside, the weight of insulation, weight of the various fittings, walls which are mounted on the piping. So each of these are sustained loads, and for them the one load case is run in order to find the stresses and deflection under these cases. The reason why we have different load cases is because if you take this sustained load case, it is going to act permanently throughout the life of the equipment, whereas the remaining two cases, they will have different nature of loads. So because of which each of the load case has got a different allowable stresses. So each of this load case has got a different allowable stress, which is something similar to what we considered in design by analysis of pressure vessels. So where we had the ASME Hopper diagram, which gave for different load types, the primary, secondary, we were having a different allowable stresses. So something similar is there. The sustained loads are static, and they are what we previously have seen as non-self-limiting. That means as the load increases, these stresses are keep on increasing. There is no self-limiting in them. Whereas in displacement control loadings, the self-limiting aspect is there. So as a result of which, the sustained load case has got the minimum of the allowable stresses. The second load case considered is the displacement governed loads, or the loads which include displacement induced loading. Typically, the major part would be from thermal expansion. So thermal expansion of the pipe itself, or the thermal expansion of the equipment to which they are attached. So each of these are the displacement type of loads. They are mostly cyclic because the equipment during the process may get heated up sometimes, it may get cooler at some other times, and these loads, the process cycles may be repeated over the life of the equipment. So these are unlike the static loads for the sustained case, these are cyclic loading. So one part is that these loads are displacement control, and by their nature they are self-limiting, and they we need to take into account the cyclic nature of these loads. So both because of this, the allowable stresses for this case are different than that for the sustained case. Most of the times they will be more than that for the sustained load case type. The third is the occasional loads. The occasional loads typically are the wind and seismic loads which need to be considered. They also could be there in terms of the testing time. So few times the piping will be subjected to test pressures which are higher than the design pressure. So such load cases comes under the category of occasional loading. And there are slightly higher allowable stresses for the occasional load cases. So these three cases are mandatory, which must be done for every piping system. So when you look at the piping flexibility analysis report, you will find that these three cases are predefined by the design codes, piping design codes, and they will be mandatorily checked. Other than that, you can have your own load cases based on customer specification, or the designer may think of uh, evaluating some other load case on his own. Okay, so having seen the different load cases and we talked that there are different allowable stresses, let's have a look at the allowable stresses which are there for this piping. So the allowable stresses are of two type. One is that for the static loading or the sustained loading. So they are known as the basic allowable stresses. They are calculated under two conditions. One is the hot condition or operating condition, and another is the cold condition. The cold condition is where the plant is not yet started, and hot condition is where it is operating at the design temperature or the operating temperature condition. These allowable stresses are based on the material properties and certain factor of safety. So typically if you take the allowable stress as per ASME B 31.3 as the design code, then you will find that both these stresses would be calculated as minimum of the ultimate tensile strength divided by 3. So this ultimate tensile strength may be at cold condition or at the hot condition. 2/3 of the yield strength or the creep properties. So if the piping is operating in the creep range where the time dependent deformations come in picture, the creep properties like creep rupture strength, and there are few more which need to be taken into account. Usually if you are talking about non-creep design, it is governed by the ultimate strength and the yield strength. For hot condition, the yield strength and UTS will be taken at the operating temperature, and for cold condition, they will be at the room temperature. So that is how the stresses would be calculated for the basic allowable stresses, which are for the typically for the sustained load case. The allowable expansion stress range. So the name given here is, this is applicable to the second case, that is a load case corresponding to displacement controlled loading or thermal expansion cases. So that is why the name expansion stress range. Why we are talking here range is because we are considering that during the process conditions the temperature is varying. So if this is temperature and this is time, we'll find that typically the temperature will increase and drop. So it may be from room temperature to the operating temperature, or during operation it may vary between two certain temperatures. So for this cyclic condition, from minimum temperature to maximum condition, the stress is not given at a particular temperature as in the basic case where it is given at either hot condition or cold condition, where the temperature is varying from minimum temperature to maximum temperature. The allowable stress range is calculated based on the stresses, allowable stress at maximum temperature and allowable stress at minimum temperature. So in this formula, the allowable stress range, you have two terms. One is the cold temperature range. So this is basic allowable stress at minimum temperature. So this is at minimum temperature, and SH corresponds to the basic allowable stress at maximum temperature. So using the formulae which are given for the basic allowable stresses, you calculate the basic allowable stress at maximum temperature, basic allowable stress at minimum temperature, and then you use this formula. So in this formula, the term inside the bracket consists of 1.25 times the cold allowable stress or minimum temperature allowable stress and 0.25 times hot allowable stress. So just to understand what is happening here is, if you consider uh, for the sake of explanation that both cold and hot temperatures are same. So in that case, this particular formula uh, uh, becomes 1.25 times the allowable stress plus 0.25 times allowable stress. We'll discuss this factor F afterwards. So the quantity which is inside the bracket becomes 1.5 times S. So if you look this particular term with respect to the allowable stress that we are, basic allowable stress we are talking about. So this 1.5s will not be nothing but it will be equal to the yield strength of the material. So that means in sustained condition, we are limiting up to 2/3 yield or about 0.67 times yield. Whereas in the second case, that is the thermal expansion case, we are increasing, allowing the stresses to go right up to the yield strength. And the difference, the effect of the temperature effect, because the stress, allowable stress is not constant, it is varying with respect to time. So that is why the weightage is given for the different stresses. So that is, so the point to be noted is that the allowable stress range for temperature loading is higher than that for the basic or the sustained load case. Okay, now let's understand what is this factor F. This factor F takes into account the fatigue aspects. So this factor is given by the formula which is shown here. So this particular formula is coming from ASME B 31.1. So there are formulae as well as table which are available in the code, but this is more handy formula. That's why I have given it here. It is, this factor F is also available in terms of table, and it depends on the number of cycles. So how many number of temperature cycles that your equipment, your piping is going to sustain. Once you know that number, using this formula, you can calculate the value of this factor F. And point to be noted is that this F is always less than or equal to 1. So that is important. So if this formula gives you value of F which is more than 1, then you have to keep it within 1. Okay, so if you are having more number of cycle, this factor F will keep on reducing. So as the number n increases, your factor F decreases. So if you are having more and more cycles, the allowable stresses keep on reducing. So that is the meaning of this. So these are the two basic stresses. For the occasional load case, the basic allowable stress is increased by a factor which is approximately 1.15 to 1.2, which we'll see towards the last of this particular session. Okay, so this is the background using which we understand that to perform piping flexibility analysis, we have to take into account three load cases: sustained, the displacement control loading, and lastly occasional loading. And for each of these cases, there are different allowable stresses. Typically, the piping flexibility analysis involves a lot of calculations and also use of computer resources. So unless it is essential, one would try to eliminate these calculations. So whether the piping flexibility analysis is required or not, that criteria is defined in the piping design code. So we'll see that criteria next.